You are watching Pausing with Erik. We pause for a second or two. How do we keep life coherent when so much is changing? This is episode 302, World Cup. Right now, in North America, the soccer or football tournament is underway. The World Cup that is being held every fourth year. And just the other day, my home country, Sweden, was eliminated by France. So now, when a couple of days have passed, I thought it would be a good idea to pause and just take a moment to reflect upon the World Cup. We get some help from this wood cube, traction. Traction is a skill, a worn out skill, which means skill for our worn out situation. It is a skill that is useful to pause with when we feel too tired, cut off, or lonely. This is a symbol for traction. A key, a nice looking key. And the key is a nice symbol because it is something simple and can be something small which unlocks a door or a gate. A very small key can unlock a big heavy door. That's a nice image. We pause and try this and that to make what is interesting until we find the key to the door. Traction is how we free up forgotten enthusiasm. So maybe we can write some of this up. So what is it that we are doing? We are trying this and that. Trying this and that to make or free up forgotten enthusiasm. So when we feel worn out skill, we do not feel enthusiasm. But it doesn't mean that enthusiasm isn't there, just that we have forgotten about it, or we are not in touch with it for the moment, or at the moment. I think this could be a good wood cube to get some help from when pausing with the World Cup. And I think it can be meaningful or interesting to compare my own country, Sweden, with our neighbor to the west, Norway. So if we put Norway here to the west, kind of a bad pen there, and Sweden here. Norway and Sweden. So when it comes to traction, trying this and that in order to free up forgotten enthusiasm for this tournament, for this collective effort, winning the soccer games, and also uniting the people of the countries behind this soccer team, this football team. It would seem that Norway and Sweden chose two different approaches in how to go about this, how to create traction for their respective peoples. So if we start with Norway, they are still in the tournament. They have not been eliminated yet. They won their last game. So what has become famous all over the world now is this sort of ritual, or this sort of collective gesture that the Norwegians are doing. And I'm talking about this sort of ro gesture. So they bring out this big drum, and one of the players have this club, which he's using to beat on the drum 2 times. Dun, dun. And then in rhythm with his beating of the drum, all the other players and everyone in the crowd, all the Norwegians, are sitting down in straight lines and making the same sort of non-verbal, there's the same sort of gesture. And they're all exclaiming ro, pulling backwards and saying ro, and then complete silence. So dun dun ro, and then complete silence. They're pausing together. Can you see? They're doing dun dun ro, dun dun ro. It's a very powerful thing when people pause together like that, when they at the same moment pause. We can see the same thing being done in when we are having a moment of silence in remembrance of a person who has passed away. A moment of silence, or a minute of silence, as we say in Sweden. A minute of silence. It's very powerful to pause together like that. So that is how Norway is doing it. They're all doing the same collective gesture, the ro ritual. And in the ritual, in the gesture, there is built in this pause. Boom, boom, ro, pause. Dun, dun, ro, pause. A collective pausing. If we then move on to Sweden, and what Sweden has trying this and that, what Sweden has tried to free up any forgotten enthusiasm among us as a people. During this World Cup, during the tournament, there hasn't been much sort of examples of the forgotten enthusiasm rising up to the surface. There hasn't been the same kind of unity in the Swedish team or the Swedish fans as has been seen in Norway. There has been no ritual, no ro, no similar thing such as ro thing. But in Sweden, leading up to the tournament, the sort of qualification games leading up to the tournament, then Sweden had this sort of collective gesture, this sort of collective ritual being made during the games. And that is that Sweden has a player who is a big star, who is called Viktor Gyökeres. He's a striker. He's up in the front, scoring all the goals or many goals. And every time he scores a goal, he has this sort of gesture he's making, a celebration, a goal celebration. So he's making like a face mask, like this. This is how it looks. And it sort of plays with a face mask, but also the character from Batman called Bane. And leading up to this World Cup tournament, Viktor Gyökeres scored many goals in the games leading up. So every time he scored a goal, he did this gesture, and all the kids and many grown-ups did the same gesture with him. Kind of similar to the ro thing, that everyone makes the same gesture all at the same time. And the pausing was also kind of built into the gesture, because he was silent when he was doing this. And everyone in the crowd was also silent while doing this. Just standing like that. Silently holding this sort of non-verbal, this mask. Now, the big difference, I would argue, between the Norwegian sort of celebration or collective enthusiasm being sort of displayed, is that the Norwegian sort of traction was collective, and sort of it tapped into the Norwegian heritage, the Norwegian Viking heritage. So no matter if Norway wins or loses the game, they can still do the ro thing. So it has to do with maybe it's more simple if we start with Sweden. The Swedish gesture wasn't about sort of, you cannot do the Swedish gesture regardless. It can only be made when one specific player scores a goal. So only when Viktor Gyökeres scores a goal can the collective be sort of joined in this gesture. So here is one player. One player. One individual. And here it was about the collective. Everyone can row. It's not about one person. And also here, you can only do the sort of traction thing when a specific goal is being scored. So it's reactive to something else happening. So it's reactive. But the Norwegian model, it was proactive. They did the row thing before the game started and during the game and after the game, regardless of the result. So it was proactive. So now Sweden is eliminated and Norway is still in the tournament. Norway is feeling a lot of enthusiasm right now, and it is being tied to a collective and proactive ritual with built-in pausing in it. The Swedish model, it was to sort of free up forgotten enthusiasm. It was tied to one specific player scoring a goal also. And it was reactive to that thing happening. So it's like the communication here is that in Sweden, we only feel enthusiasm during the World Cup if one specific thing happens. We sort of wait for this thing to happen before we react. But in Norway, they did not have to wait for anything. They could choose to have the enthusiasm as a proactive action. They could choose to be enthusiastic. The Swedes could not choose to be enthusiastic. They had to wait for something. So, could be argued that only Norway did worn out skill traction. They tried this and that to free up forgotten enthusiasm. They tried their row thing. But Sweden, they were waiting for this and that. So I write in parentheses here, waiting. Waiting for this and that. That's what Sweden did. Waiting for this and that to have enthusiasm. Norway, trying this and that to have enthusiasm. Quite different things. So now, wrapping it up, the feeling in the air, at least from my perspective, my personal perspective, is that Norway has this sort of focused collective energy going all the same way. But Sweden, also being eliminated from the World Cup, Sweden has this sort of ambivalent, going in many directions kind of collective energy. Sometimes going away from each other and sometimes clashing. Very different sort of energies lined up and ambivalent going here and there. So we will see. Will Sweden be sort of inspired by Norway, or will Sweden stay in their own ambivalence? I don't know. That's it for today. Thank you.